Welcome to Both Sides Now, featuring the unconventional duo, Dr. Shirley and medium Kelly White. Two perspectives, one world. This is Both Sides Now.
Yay!
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Both Sides Now. I'm Dr. Shirley.
And I am spiritual medium Kelly White. And hi, John.
Hello, ladies.
Hi,
Monday.
John. How are you? Surviving another week?
Surviving another week. Do we even know what day it is? It's Monday.
All right. Yay!
So true. It's sweatpants day again.
Again. Which, you know what? We'll talk about that as far as how to kind of not get into a funk. Because everybody's getting into a funk, and it's really, we'll go through some tips to help people. Yeah.
Did you watch Saturday Night Live?
I did. It was so funny.
So funny. So I was so stunned that there was a Saturday Night Live live.
Did
Well,
they
it
do
wasn't
with
live,
Zoom?
but they did it with Zoom.
Yeah, that's what I
They
thought.
did it with Zoom from each comedian from their home. So each one did a skit that was kind of individual, but they did do the Zoom.
Amazing. What's going on in your production?
It was it's amazing what they're doing in production.
Yeah.
But it was so funny. Did you see the last one where the girl's doing the makeup?
Yeah,
She
with
runs
markers.
out of makeup?
She runs out of makeup, so she's doing it with markers.
Oh my
Hilarious.
God, that was so funny. But I actually had a situation like that. So in real life, I actually had a
Why am I
situation like
not
that.
surprised
Oh my
that
God.
something like that would happen to you, Kel?
So 20 years ago, I was on a business trip. This is like the business trip from hell in Iowa at a meat packing plant or something. And I had to, my plane was late. Then they lost my luggage and I had to get into the hotel. So I check into the hotel and my boss is calling me, come on, we got to get going. We got to be, we have to be there like right now. We have to be there right now. And I'm like, oh my God, I went as fast as I could. And as I'm trying to go as fast as I can to get to the meeting on time and I don't have any luggage, my bra strap breaks. Just kaboom. And I was like, holy mother of God, what am I going to do? So I go, well, hold on, Chris, my old boss. I said, I'll be right back. So I go into my hotel room. I call downstairs and I said to the woman, I just checked in and I have a situation and I need to know, is anybody down there has a large bra I could buy? She goes, are you the blonde? And I go, yeah. I said, do you have a larger bra I can buy? I'll give you $100 for a bra. And then she goes, I don't, but Marge has one. So Marge was in housekeeping. She knocked on my door. I gave her $100. She gave me her bra. I went to her bra. So then because they lost my suitcase, I also didn't have any makeup. So they, the only thing I could use was a magic marker on my eyes.
Oh, you're kidding.
I had a lipstick. So yeah. So that skit, I can top it.
So you could not only laugh at it, but you could relate to it.
Oh, I was howling when I saw that.
I'm not so sure I'd wear somebody else's bra.
I didn't, Cheryl, I was going into the meat business.
What about a safety pin?
No, it was past safety pin.
It was past a safety pin?
It was past safety pin.
Wow.
Oh, it was bad.
Wow.
It was bad. Never happened to me again. And I would only travel now with 3 bras if I were traveling somewhere.
Yeah, and in your carry-on. I mean, that's what before when we used to be able to travel.
Right? Yeah.
I lost my bag, and so I put my cherished, clothes and shoes that I didn't want to lose in my carry-on because I didn't want to.
Oh, I know. I feel the same way about that. Well,
so we digress a little, maybe to get the mind off of what we're all living, but we will definitely talk about.
Tammy, I'll tell you what I was doing in the meat business. I was in sales and I was a vegetarian. So that goes along with the bra story. And talk about change.
Kel was an executive in the corporate world, if you guys can all believe that.
Oh, I was big time, actually. Yeah. That's, in fact, we're going to talk about that because that was huge change for me. But let's talk about astrology for right now. So we've got, there's always right now aspects up the wazoo. There's so many aspects. Yeah. So right now, tomorrow, I think
we're going to start calling it the clusterfuck update. Can we do that?
Yeah, we probably should, Cheryl. We probably should. My God. So tomorrow, the sun squares Pluto. And the day after that, that's on the 14th of April. And on the 15th, the sun squares Jupiter. So what does that mean exactly? It means that this transit, this kind of special transit, it triggers the already intense Jupiter-Pluto conjunction. So what does this actually mean? It means the following, that during this transit, there's a lesson for everyone, and it's a really good time to make adjustments and refinements, if you will, to your plan of action. And so we're going to talk about plan of action today. We're going to talk about change today. It's during this transit, it's positively time to look at circumstances that of what we can do things about. So it's actually an important time that you're here to ask yourself, how am I going to empower myself during this? How can I connect to my strength? And what wisdom do I have? And these are the kind of things that are going to help us overcome change. So these 2 days, the next 3 to 4 days, are important for us to go even further inward with a good brain power, So there you go. And then next week we'll talk about more things.
Yeah. Well, I think, it's one of the things that this is challenging people to do, is to really get to know themselves, which I think once we get through it is going to be one of the silver linings of going through this, particularly because people are living now with each other 24/7. And it's important to know, am I the kind of person that needs some alone time? And can I ask for that without other people taking it personally? And if they do, to be curious, why are you taking personally something that I need that has nothing to do with you and certainly isn't about you, wanting a break from you? But introverts need alone time. That's how we recharge our batteries. So that's an important thing to just know about yourself and to ask for it and do it. I had a friend of mine who you think I'm a left brain. I met him in my PhD program. So he was a psychologist, left brain, and went and worked at the corporate world. And when he when he started dating, it would turn into a business. It would be strategic. And he goes, and when I when I start dating people, if they're an introvert, I schedule time throughout the day. I give them an hour to do their own thing because I know that that's what that needed. And we schedule it and it's part of our day. So I go to the gym and he socializes because he's an extrovert. That's how he recharges his battery. And he would give his partner the time he needed, and it was just part of the schedule. Yeah.
That's quite extraordinary, actually.
It is.
That somebody could plan like that.
He was very strategic in that way. But it's really allowing people to really get to know themselves, at a deeper level, because now we have the time, we have the downtime to even be, to notice that, and be curious if you're feeling irritable. Instead of, like I always say, curiosity, with Dr. Larry Heller, one of my teachers, would say that curiosity is the antidote to judgment. So be curious about anything that's coming up, anything that you're feeling, thoughts that you're having. There's always a valid reason for it.
And this is the time to get to know yourself. And one of the things that I can help people with understanding about themselves in the context of change is this. But Wendy says the struggle is real in a small house with a young child full of energy. Oh, Wendy, that's so true. I watch my grandbabies with my daughter, and it's very true. It'd be very challenging to have a baby right now, or a young child, really challenging. But what I was going to say is that if we look at numerology, and we choose our names before we incarnate. Oh, yes, you did choose that name. My name is Kelly Jo. Go figure. You told Shirley. You chose Shirley. Yep. Shirley and Pellizzari. That's correct. We choose everything that we come in with. Interesting enough, I spell my name Kellee. That is the way I was born. My father's name was Lee, and people would say, "Why do you spell your name with a, how come you don't spell it the whatever way with a Y?" I said, "I don't know. My dad's name was Lee."
Father.
Yeah. But in actuality, the letters E, the letters N like Nancy, and the letter W are all fives. So everybody look at their name and see if you have an E, an N, or a W in it. Fives mean change. So before the coronavirus hit, people were calling all the time and saying, "I see 555. What is 555? Well, 555 is change. It means great change." And clearly the sign was out there. So if you look at your name and you have, like I have 3 E's in my first name, it was built for change.
Change, yeah.
I mean, listen, my bra breaks. first and last. My bra breaks, and I had figured it out like in 30 seconds.
It would have never occurred to me to call down and say, does anybody have a bra that I can buy for $100? Never.
I would have grabbed somebody on the street if I had to. But oh yeah. Oh yeah, that was the first thing, because I think really quickly, and because I think it's because I have all these 5s in my name. Even White starts with a W. You know, there are other letters that are the power numbers, like H, Q, Z, and you have a lot of Z's in your name, Shirley. Those are power numbers. Those are 8s.
So are you talking about the maiden, the name that you were born with, or the name that you choose to use? Because there's plenty of people who married.
Any which way. Look at your birth name, and then look at the name you choose. Like White was not my maiden name, but it's the one I use, and it is has a W in it. So 5s bring change, make it easier for people to change. If you don't have any of that, you might be a little, stuck a little bit. The other thing is, I was really blessed with something. I never would have figured it was a blessing, Shirley, ever. But in 2000, as most people know, I had a traumatic brain injury. Yes, I was in the meat business before, and I had a life that was really quite extraordinary. I lived at the beach. I made a lot of money. I drove a nice car. I had all new clothes. I mean, I had a great, what I would have considered on the mundane plane, a fabulous life. And then I had a traumatic, pardon me?
On the mundane plane. That's very funny.
Well, but it's truly true. And so it was an incredible life. And then I had this traumatic brain injury. The reason that I'm mentioning that now is that was sudden change for me. It was a shock. It was sudden change. Everything I knew had ended. It's not unlike what we're going through now. It's not unlike that. Yeah. Mine was completely, I lost my sense of identity even. I mean, I couldn't take care of my daughter. I lost my home. I lost everything. My career, everything came to an immediate stop. And I had to learn all over again, all kinds of things, aside from, seeing and hearing and talking and writing and all of those things. Aside from that, I had to learn how to be a medium too, because all that started flying in. But it was the loss of sense of self that was a big one. So the reason I mention all that is it's not too dissimilar to some people what we're going through right now, because people will need to reinvent themselves. People will need to accept the change, accept that the world has changed.
Yeah. And understanding also that the brain doesn't like change. The brain is an anticipatory organ, which means that it anticipates the future given the past. And that's how the species survived, which is why when you grow up in a chaotic childhood, you anticipate life being chaotic. And sometimes unknowingly you create chaos because that's what you're used to. Or when you grow up in an unsafe childhood, you anticipate the world being unsafe. So the brain doesn't like change at all. It can't prepare for it. It can't, if you look at the brain as the main purpose is to keep us alive, predictability is much safer to the brain than change. And so this is increasing the anxiety on top of everything else that's increasing the anxiety, the threat of life. That's another thing that the brain,
It's very true.
So there's so many things that just from a biological standpoint, neurological standpoint, is increasing anxiety on top of everything else.
And that's why I'm always espousing a spiritual life. I mean, we are souls having a human experience here. And it's going to be really important to remember several things during this course of change. Several things. In fact, you know what, before I even get to a positive affirmation about that, I want to talk about, and I know, Shirley, you're going to talk about it too, Elizabeth Kubler-Ross.
Her stages of grief.
She has her stages of grief, but she also had something that I thought was really interesting. It was called the Kubler-Ross model for change in business. But guess what? You can use it for this too. And frankly, John, I want you to put this up because it does look like, to me, it goes along with the chakras that John and I talk about on Thursdays. But if you look at her model, her model starts off with shock. So it's a surprise or a shock to the system, which is the root chakra. So this virus, it was a shock to everybody, really. It was a shock. Okay, so then and that's the first root chakra. The second surprise, or the second chakra, or the second thing that she talks about, is denial. So of course everybody went into the denial stage. This
Right.
can't be happening. And that's second chakra. That's about maturity and not having maturity. It's to get that for that one. And the third one is frustration. Of course we're all going to be frustrated. It's recognizing that things have changed. Who moved my cheese? The cheese has been moved. And
Right.
when we talk about, that's the third chakra of power, our power center, who we were. And that's why I talk about my past, who I was, and then who I became. You have to remember this, everybody. You were, and you are now becoming somebody, a soul that's going to be renewed and refreshed within a spiritual realm. And we're going to talk about the needs being met. We're going to talk about that too, because I have some things to say about that. But the fourth one is depression. Of course, you're going to get frustrated, then you're going to go into a depression. These are all possibilities of things. Depression, to me, the fourth one goes with the heart chakra. So do you want to keep your heart open, or do you want to close it down from fear and get really sad and down? Because you're going to see these energies move up and down and up and down. It's almost like everybody's riding the same wave, it seems.
Yeah.
And then the fifth one is experiment. Oh, look, maybe we can do this in the new situation. Maybe we can do that, which is really the throat chakra, explaining and thinking and talking about new life, new experiences. And then we have the decision part. So that would be like the sixth chakra, learning how to work in this new environment that we have. Wow, this is looking at it in the third eye chakra, looking at the possibilities, right? And then the last one is the integration. How do we integrate the changes that we have now? And that goes with the crown chakra. And so I really put this all together like that. That's the way I view this. But I thought this was a really good model. And Shirley, you talk about the Kubler-Ross, the other stages of grief that she talks about.
Well, the stages of grief that she talks about, which are similar, they're incorporated in the one you talked about, but they don't have, it's only 5 stages. And they can also follow this. I mean, we are kind of grieving our old life.
Of course.
And of course, we're going to be able to get back to our old life, but we are really grieving that. And initially it was denial, and everybody, I think, was in denial. Oh, it's not that big deal, or it's not going to hit me, or, and so we didn't do what we should have done from the beginning because there was that denial factor. And then anger. I think a lot of people are going, I think pretty much, especially, I guess, I'm going to talk for the states in general, we're past the denial. I think everybody knows we're dealing with something and it's big. And so we're no longer in denial. I think, and it might be also helpful to kind of see what stage you're in, and work with it. Again, not in a critical or judgmental way, just in an understanding, curious way.
To see where you are with everything.
Right.
Because I may be way over here with it, and Shirley, you may be way over there. Because when you were in denial, I'm like, no, Cheryl, it's over here.
I know. I was in total denial. Now, that doesn't mean we can go back and forth, so they're not linear. So getting through denial doesn't mean we may not be back in denial. Not so much denial with this, because I think we're all pretty, not in denial anymore about what's going on. But anger is the next one. And, I find myself sometimes being angry too about what's going on.
What do you get angry about?
With this?
Yeah.
I get angry at not being able to do the things that I want to do.
I know.
I mean, as 4-year-old as that sounds, but I'm really beginning. I mean, like you and a few other people, and I consider myself so lucky, is our job has, I've been as busy as I've always been. And so to me, during the week hasn't looked any different.
Right.
Because I get home around 10 or 11, and I only go to the office because I'm the only one there, and the whole suite is mine. So I'm not even taking an elevator to get, well, you were there, so you know what the office is.
We don't have an elevator. Yeah.
For people. Yeah, it's a building. The tanning booth and the hair salon, there's no one there. And we would walk up to our second floor, and the whole suite was ours. And there are no other therapists or anybody there. So I go there just to kind of keep a little bit of, just to feel like I going in. That's my workspace. So I come home at 10 or 11 at night during the week. So during the week, it hasn't felt very different. But on the weekends, it has, because I no longer get to do my social stuff, which I very much enjoyed.
Well, you love dinner. I mean, we always went to dinner 3 or 4 or 5 times a week.
Right, right.
I do miss that.
Yeah. And so some anger, I find myself, being angry at that at times, not so much anymore, but some people may find themselves in that stage. And, kind of like, why is God doing this to us? This is unfair. Why me?
I've heard that.
Kind of thing.
I heard that from a relative.
Yeah.
I'm like, did you actually say that to me?
Yeah.
Okay, let's think about that. Do I kill him now or do I kill him later?
And then a lot of times, depending, of course, on what you're angry with, a lot of times there's pain underneath the anger.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then there's bargaining, of course, which I know I went through. Well, if I just go to the store, if I just go there, then I'll be okay, because, so when it comes to COVID, that's kind of the bargaining that you might, hear yourself doing. And so,
or you could actually bargain for toilet paper right now.
Exactly. But bargaining with yourself, like, if I do this, then it won't be that dangerous. But if I do that, that kind of thing. And then depression, which of course always sets,
well, it does work. I do worry that there will be a lot of people that are going to, as the time continues, to be depressed, and we've got to watch that vital life force. And so what I'd like to say about that, just for a second before we finish this, is everybody needs to know who Robert Lee Camp is. Robert Lee Camp, he has seventhunders.com, and John, maybe you'll post that at some point. He's the maven, if you will, on the Destiny cards. He's the one that re-established, got them back up, doing this work that I use for the work that I use, actually. And I think the world of the work that he does. And he said today, he talked about positive affirmations, and that they really don't mean anything unless there's real power behind it. Like if there's really meaning behind it. And what he said about this time period that we're in is he said that to use this affirmation, and remember this, if you get overwhelmed, or if this change is so difficult for you now: I am guided, I am protected, I am supported, and I am loved. You have to remember that the universe has intelligence. James and I were just talking about this yesterday on Easter. Happy Easter to everybody, and happy Passover.
Happy Passover. Yeah.
And James said, the universe is intelligent. He said to me, if I look back at my life and figure out at the time, I never thought how that would work or how this would work. And I wanted it to be a certain way, and it wasn't. And now when I look back, I can say, oh my God, that's why it happened that way. The universe has this intelligence. This is why this is happening now. The universe has an intelligence about how this is all going to come together. Do not limit yourself to just one vision. Keep the vision expanded of where we're going to be, where you're going to be. And just remember that be grateful for all the things that you do have. It's easy to say, I don't have this, and I don't want to make a change, and I don't want to let go of my old life. And believe me, been there, done that. I tried to get my old life back so many times, and it just didn't happen. Oh, that's right, because every door was shut. And that's kind of how this is happening now going forward. Change is, people don't like it. I understand that. But if you can remember that you are definitely protected, you're definitely supported, you are definitely loved, and you will be guided by the universe. So please remember that. So Kat says, what a great name. Cat Feathers? Oh, what a great name. I have a special needs son who DDT doesn't understand why he can't go to school or the beach, etc. Every day a creative balancing act for me. I use LOA a lot. Shirley?
Yeah. I would, just validate his feelings when he may not understand why he can't go, but he will feel anger about it or frustration, and validate that. Yeah, it's frustrating when you can't go to school, when you can't do the things you want to do, or when you don't understand why you can't do them. If he's angry at you because he thinks you're just not taking him to school or something like that, just say, I know it's okay to feel angry at mommy for not taking you to school right now. Validating the emotions allows the other person to feel seen by us. And that is at the core of attachment. Yeah. So it won't take away the anger or the tantrum, but you will notice kind of a calming, and tantrums usually last a lot shorter time when the child feels, even adults, I mean, anybody, when you feel seen by the other person.
Yeah. That's a tough one.
Yeah.
That's a tough one to help with that change.
When there's no understanding. Yeah.
Oh, God. So Tammy asks, do some astrological signs struggle with change more? Oh, yes. Have you ever met a Capricorn? And this can be anybody whose moon, who's rising. Capricorn struggles with change. And all these planets are in Capricorn right now. So that's a big one. Let's see. Cancer, sign of the home. They don't like change. Taurus doesn't like change. Let's see who else. Probably there are others that think people that would have an easier time perhaps would be Virgos. They can kind of rationalize, although they don't like change that much. I don't have a problem with it. So I don't just look at the sign, Tammy, although that does kind of start there. I look at like the whole rest of the picture for the person. Sagittarius doesn't mind change. Aries doesn't mind change. Anybody with a lot of air.
What about Pisces? I should ask myself that, but
yeah, I think that that's more of it's Neptune based, so they're in a dreamy state right now. It's like I would knock on the door and say, "Wake up,
wake up,
wake up! The sky's on fire."
There's some things I used to do so well with emergency response when I used to investigate child abuse. If I don't have time to think, I know what to do, how to do it. I cannot handle change when it comes to technology.
Oh, no, you know what? Let's talk about that's a big change for people, Shirley.
I cannot.
And John, you know that John is helping people, all kinds of people. In fact, he's helping James soon, right, John?
Sure am.
With technology is a huge problem, Shirley, especially at our age. Well, I'm a lot older than you are, but at that age, at any age, going like 40 and above or 50 and above.
I can't. Yeah, I can't.
Something like that.
54. I can't handle it. Even like my makeup mirror, it was kind of broken, on the pedestal, and I kind of had jimmied it, but it worked well, and the lighting worked well. And so Sydney thought she would give me a new makeup mirror for my birthday. And although I so appreciated it, she couldn't find the same one. I still can't get used to it. If it's not broken, just
leave it alone.
Let me leave it alone. Leave it alone.
So I guess
they gave me a new pair of slippers. I'm used to my old pair. Okay. They weren't broken. Why give me a new pair?
Let me answer the question then about Pisces. No change. No change. Okay. Nancy says, I'm a Capricorn and losing my mind. I bet you are, honey. I bet you are.
Yeah.
It's really hard for Capricorns. They don't like to change. They don't like it at all. Trudy,
I answered my own question.
You did. Judy said, I've had to recreate my life many times in 77 years. This is just another wave for me. I feel safe where I am and in observer mode. I am all air, by the way, 7 planets in air. Go you, Judy. Go you. Boy. And I love that she used the expression observer. That is great for change. If you can pull yourself out of the mundane stuff that's going around and actually observe it. Observe yourself. Observe. That's where wisdom comes in. And that's where you need to be to help change. Tip for empaths: observe, but don't absorb. That's great, John.
That's exactly it.
Don't absorb.
And that's a key strategy in somatic experiencing therapy is you're an observer to what you're noticing inside. So even if you're very scared or anxious, to notice, wow, I'm feeling very scared right now. And that once removed position helps, to be that observer of what's going on inside.
So Lynn asks the question, can Leos change? Yeah, they can, as long as it's about them. The problem is,
Lynn, I hate
this is
too.
everything about change right now for everybody. For everybody, there's everybody on the planet has to have some. Will have change currently.
Yeah.
This is until we get to the other side. And let me just say this, everybody: we will get to the other side. It's going to look different, but we will get there. It's just going to be different. It's going to look.
Yeah.
It's going to be life is going to be different.
And I think
But we will get there.
Yeah. I think it's so important to also notice, the silver linings and what we're going to get from this, not as a way to ignore what we're feeling about it from a, from a frustration point of view. We can hold both at the same time, but people are going to get to know themselves so well, and there will be so much more appreciation for the little stuff that I don't, when people say we took it for granted, I think we just do it every day. And so we don't appreciate it as much because we do it every day, not so much that we take it for granted. And that's the last stage, is that acceptance piece, is accepting where we're at now and balancing the focus, not only on what is frustrating and challenging, but what silver lining is. I mean, there's so many kids, and I hear from my family, from the families that I see, the kids are loving it because they get to spend time with their parents. And that's what every kid wants,
That's very true.
Yeah. And
I just saw this great quote from Forbes magazine, or Forbes. It said, "What if the world is meant to take a gap year as a result of the coronavirus?"
Wow.
Remember a gap year? We didn't have gap year back in the day like they do
didn't.
now. But
Well,
it is. I like that expression. It's a gap year for the world.
I keep going back to this image. I don't know if you guys can see this. Let me see if I can make it any bigger for you.
The loss cycle.
Yeah. So it's just like the grief cycle, obviously, but it's really to do with, let me see if I can go larger on this. So it's the normal cycle for all losses. Could be, a job loss. It could be a relationship loss. It could be anything. So it's a spiral that you go through, right? So the first one is disbelief, shock, denial, then anger at God, the person, at others, ourselves. Then it goes to guilt. Then it goes to resentments, remorse, grief, helplessness, hopelessness, depression, despair. And then it says, quit fighting. Out of surrender comes strength. And you go into faith, hope, admit, you remember or you laugh, you share, you talk, you accept the change, the serenity of it all, the planning, the action, and then it leads to a new life.
I love that.
Yeah.
I hope you put that up. That's a great one.
Yeah, I refer that one all the time. It's just, it covers so much. And then it has the stages: denial, anger, depression.
Right.
And then reconstruction is a new one.
Yeah. And I love that it has hope and faith, because that's really what this is all about. All of this is about to take us to that place.
And it's creating resilience,
mm-hmm.
And getting through this and how we got through this. And so when something else happens, knowing that you can get through things. Sometimes we don't get the opportunity to experience that.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to get it this time. I mean, I've had the experience. I said to God a long time ago, I don't need the experience again. I've had it, and I'm having the experience again. However, what things I've learned, don't say that to God.
Yeah. And if people aren't getting along because, you're living in close proximity, be curious as to why. Because for many people, this is actually causing them to feel closer. And for a lot of people, it's also causing more arguing and more fighting. And it's an opportunity to over talk about things, over discuss, you've got little to nothing else to do. So
what do you think about the people that are alone, though, Shirley? Because there are a lot of people that are alone. I have so many clients that are alone right now that are not with anybody, and they may have a cat, they may have a dog, they may not have anything.
And that's another thing. There's really a fine line between going into depression. So you really have to catch yourself before you go there. And there's some tips that we'll put up that were actually created by a psychologist in New York, and we'll put her name and we'll give credit. But it's you really need to know yourself enough to know what you need to do. So if you need that social contact, plan for it. No different than when we used to be able to go out, we used to get it. Even if we went to the supermarket, we used to see other people. But if that's what you need, plan for it. Set up Zoom calls with people, with your friends, not just phone calls,
Yeah.
Go out for a walk if you're able to, with protection, of course, or at least stand outside and get some air. Do the things that are going to help you not fall into a depression. They even say that if you're working out of your home, which most of us are, to change and and put work clothes on. Don't do it in your sweats.
Well, that's what Tom Hanks did when he did Saturday Night Live the other day. He did the opening act, and he said, "I finally, got out of my sweats."
Right. Now, if you find that doesn't shift you, then it doesn't matter. But know yourself well enough to know, because we do feel different depending on what we wear. So if that does cause you to feel different, then do it. Even if you're working out of your home, go and put on, dress clothes, and then change them at the end of your day, even if you're still at home. Do the things that are going to help shift you and not cause you to fall into a depression, because it'll be much harder.
Well, one of the things that you need to do too is keep a schedule. If that is going to be the case, keep a schedule.
Mhm.
Like, the thing about this universe, this dimension, this one has time. So I want people to remember a few things here. This is the only dimension that I'm aware of, probably others, that have time. So that means there are 24 hours in a day. That means our life, we only live a certain amount of time. So now we're in a certain time, and during this period, how do you want to use this time? Use it wisely. Use it as a gift that your soul gets to learn everything about itself, and it gets to experience a spiritual nature of faith, of hope, of compassion, of love, of letting go, if you can, during this time of great change. To help you change, start with knowing yourself, letting go of whatever traumas you can. If you can't, get a hold of a therapist. This is a great time to get a hold of a therapist now. They're all working. They're all working their asses off. I can tell you that for sure.
Yeah.
But get a hold of somebody.
Yeah.
Don't you agree? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's important to really start to notice what you're noticing, what's going on, and be curious about it and do something about it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's the time now. It's the time. If not, as the Jews say, if not now, when? This is it.
Yeah.
There will always be our life that happened before Corona, BC. But now we're looking at our life during it. So you want to write the story in your head of, what did you do? I was a survivor. Let me tell you what I did. And then you think like that. I'm doing this now, and I'm doing this now. And then there'll be the life after this. And you will have a life after this.
Yeah.
You will.
Yeah. Planning different, for those with kids, planning different activities for your kids and for you, because if the whole day is one same thing, that's going to be, because they're going to get very anxious and very, feel more out of control. But Sid and I started a puzzle. We used to love to do puzzles when she was little.
Oh, so you're doing that now?
Oh, yeah. So we started one now again. Yeah.
That's sweet.
We used to play games. And so do different things, Lori is saying, I'm homeschooled. I homeschooled my daughter K to 12. Her dad was a public school teacher. She loved homeschooling. We spent special times together.
Oh, that's lovely. That's lovely. My daughter, with her 3-year-old, my grandson, they created, let me see, like I don't know what you call it, a Fort Ninja thing where they were playing ninja. So she took all of this string and she made all of these, I don't know, for him to climb under and go through whatever. And she would say, go, ninja, go. And off he would go. So it helps, so they're very creative. Thank goodness. Judy says, hi, Judy. I love you, Judy.
Hi, Judy.
Doing physical therapy online and learning how to do the technology. Let's talk about that. Good for you, Judy. I have other doctors too that are chiropractors and all kinds that are learning now how to do this online. Do you think, how is that possible? Somebody sent me a funny thing about gynecology. I have no idea how they're going to do that, but that's pretty funny. But I mean, technology would be a big learning curve, don't you think? As to accept change. If we continue with the theme, accepting the new technology. And I know people get frustrated with that, and that's why they call John for help, right, John?
That's what they do. Yep, I'm the intuitive tech. That's what they call me, the intuitive tech.
I love that.
Great one.
We've got a caller for us.
Okay.
Let's go to Northbrook, Illinois. Hi, caller. Can we have your name, please?
Hi, it's Wendy.
Hey, Wendy.
Hi, Wendy.
Hi, Wendy.
I'm actually calling from Lake Zurich, Illinois.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it says North
Zurich.
on my call screen here for some reason. But
That's okay. Close by,
yeah.
sort of.
So how can we
Northwest
help you
suburb of
tonight?
Chicago. Well, I've been following you guys for quite a bit. I actually saw Kelly first at the convention with James Van Prague recently, so I was excited to see her show.
Hey, well, thank you. Thanks, Wendy. How can we help you?
And I really connect with you a lot. And, I met Julie Adriani also. I'm connecting with, kind of all of you right now and
Yeah, great.
feeling the changes going on and the anxiety and, just being an empath. And I guess what I really wanted to call about was right before all of this happened, I kind of, realized that I had to set boundaries with my mom. And now that everything has happened, I'm kind of struggling with knowing that she's alone and knowing that she's by herself, but I still need to have those boundaries. If that makes sense.
Oh, that's a tough one. Yes, it makes a lot of sense. Let me ask you something. Is your mother, were you having to set boundaries because your mother was a personality disorder or?
Her love is very conditional, and I had a lot of what I realized in the last year is, what I would consider to be emotional abuse growing up, and it continues, into adulthood. And I have a, 6-year-old son, and obviously I want him to have a connection with his grandmother, which he does. And, they have been Zooming a couple times since this all happened. But, before that, it was a struggle because I wanted to set boundaries with her and keep that relationship kind of separate from her relationship with him as a grandmother. And we were, all kind of struggling with that in our family and balancing that. And, she was kind of pushing more every time I tried to give her the opportunity to have a relationship with her grandson, she kept trying to push the relationship with me. And, even now I still see that as happening, and I'm struggling, with what I'm supposed to be doing.
Well, I appreciate your call very much. You can't see your mother though now, correct? Because you're quarantined and she's quarantined.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. She lives like half an hour away, but we're,
Is she asking you to come over? Is she pressing you to come over?
Oh, no. She doesn't want us to come over or anything, but just to even have more time, and schedule regular calls with, my son and
that's a tough one. That's a tough one when you have a difficult
controlling.
Yeah, that's a tough one when you have a controlling parent like that. Shirley, what do you have to say? That's a tough one.
Yeah.
I appreciate your pain.
Yeah. You have to just kind of stick with it and know, if guilt shows up or guilt, which means, you feel like you're doing something wrong, just remind yourself that if she wasn't that way, you would love nothing more than to have, an ongoing connected relationship with her. But you can't.
Right.
So reminding yourself of that, when you feel bad about it, and when she pushes, set a boundary to that too. Either, terminate the phone call, or, mom, if you're going to continue to push this, then I'm going to have to go now. And so you kind of train them to not do that, because you set a boundary to that, and you always have to stick to it.
Right. And I really did get, I think to the expert point, of doing that and being that, powerful voice that, I never felt like I had before, and being able to keep those boundaries, but do it in a loving, respectful way. And just, when all of this happened, I think it's a struggle for me internally, just knowing that those boundaries are healthy still, but
keep the boundaries. Yeah.
she is all alone,
I
and
know.
she's not begging for more. It's just
Yeah. Well, you're an empath and you're
needs
feeling
to go
pain
through
for
this.
this. And
Yeah,
this really does bring everything to the forefront, as
Yeah.
when you have a situation like this. But just remember, as Shirley said, hold the boundary. Hold the boundary. You can still send her a lot of love. You can still send her love. And this is a
yeah,
time for you to practice boundaries and sending love. Because if the quarantine wasn't here, you'd still get pushed.
right.
So I mean, it's the time to deal with it. You could send her a lot of love and just say this. Remember this. You chose this one as a mother for you. She brought you in.
Right.
Okay. What were you thinking at the time?
And also, to know that if she's alone, it's because of who she is, or
Right.
you respond to her because of who she is. So giving her the responsibility, whether she's aware of it or not. I struggled a lot with when my mother passed away. I was there for her, but I didn't do the things and I didn't feel that attachment because she didn't create it, frankly. And I went through a lot of guilt of the things that I could have done or should have done, and I worked
Right.
through it. And ultimately just accepting that I didn't do them because she didn't create that attachment connection. Not as a way to blame, but as a way to accept what I didn't do, and similarly in your experience, to accept why you don't want to see her more often or why you need to set boundaries, that their
Sure.
behavior creates that.
Yeah. Thanks for calling, Wendy.
Yeah.
That was good.
And I know
Good
deep
call.
down, that she needs to go through her thing and I need to go through my thing. And, I
Yeah.
think just the irrational fear side of me is like, well, what if she does, get sick or something horrible happens and I can't see her and be near her. And, I know deep down then that's what is meant to be, but I really don't think that's going to happen. It's just hard to
It's
be
hard.
in this
It's really hard to be in this.
weird reality.
It's a very
Yeah.
weird reality. It's an
Thank you very much.
understatement. But you know what? Hang in there. You're doing a good job. Good job.
Thank you.
Really good
Yeah.
job.
Yeah.
The pep talk helps.
Yeah.
Good.
Thanks for
Good.
calling. That was a good call. Thank you.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Okay, thanks.
Bye. That's tough.
Bye.
It's tough out there because especially when you have parents that are really difficult. I had a client the other day. She was living at home. She had moved in to take care of her parents, and then this hit. Both parents are personality disorders. I don't know how she was going to do this. I thought, wow. Talk about a karmic situation, right?
Yeah, it's a tough one. Lynn is saying, "Oh, Shirley, that is so helpful to remind yourself you have very good reasons." I'm glad. I mean, it is hard, and you can feel really guilty about the things that you didn't do, or if your parent is still alive, the things that you're not doing. It's important to remind yourself of that. Again, not to blame or point fingers, but just to also include, your reactions as that there's a reason for them. Know yourself well enough to know, no, I am a nice person. I am a good person. I would bend over backwards for someone. And if I don't feel called to it, there's a reason for that.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, ladies, we're moving on to our next caller in
Okay.
Alabama. I believe this is Lori. Hey, Lori.
Alabama. Hi, Lori.
Hi.
Hey guys,
Hi, Lori. How can
How
we
are
help
you?
you? Good. How are you?
Making the best of it.
fairly well. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I'm one of those humans alone. I do have my dog Kiko, but and I limit my watching the news time to like 3 days a week. But this overwhelming dark emotion of what's happening in New York and that kind of thing.
Oh, there we go.
I'm doing all the things I need to do with all my tools. But boy, past couple of days, especially.
Lori, we're having a bad
Wow.
connection with you. Let's actually call you back. I'm hearing that clicking sound
Okay.
again. So I'm going to grab your number and I'm going to call you
Okay.
back. Yeah. All right.
Okay.
So thanks for holding. All right. So
Sure.
we're going to move on to Stacy and then we'll come back to Lori. I'm going to call her.
Okay.
Okay, here we go. Lori, is on hold, and then I'll call her back. And then we have Stacy now, I believe. Stacy, where are you calling from?
Hi, I'm calling from the middle of the desert in California.
Okay.
Hi, Stacy.
Hi. I kind of struggled with whether to call or not because I feel like I know the answer, but I kind of want somebody else's input also. Since the whole thing with the coronavirus has been happening, well, let me go back just a little bit. Before the coronavirus happened, I was supposed to be moving. And everything went wrong and went wrong and went wrong. And then this happened and I couldn't move right away. So I got really frustrated. And so now I'm sitting there going, am I supposed to be doing something else than what I had planned? So that's kind of where I've been thinking. And then I feel guilty for thinking that when there's so much other stuff going on. So I just kind of wondered.
Well, universe was telling you
about how to not feel guilty.
Yeah. Clearly the universe had a plan for you to stay exactly where you are. I mean, that's the part you've got to, or you would have moved. You got to release that, release that hold on that you have, because you got a clear message 3 times. So this is a big message. Stay where you are. Stay where you are. Don't feel guilty about it. It was supposed to be this way. You know, you'll look back at this in 6 months and go, whoa, oh, thank goodness. I'm so glad I stayed here.
Yeah, I've been feeling that way too, though. I can totally relate. I feel
Can
like
you?
I was thinking about that today. I was like, damn it, I want to move so bad, and I can't move now. You know,
look at Shirley. I know Shirley, you've been wanting to move too.
Yeah, because it's just you outgrow like places, right? And you're ready to move on and embrace the change of the newness and all of that. And I know. And then now this is like, who knows how long we're going to be. You know, it could be another 2 months or longer.
What do you do to get yourself through when you feel guilty? When you feel the guilt?
For me, it depends on what's going on. So I try to meditate. I have a daughter, so it's hard to meditate when she's here sometimes. But I try to do that, and then I do art too. And that's the thing is that I was moving to Los Angeles to write scripts. That was the goal, and it kind of feels like I'm being shifted in a totally different direction from that. You know, with not being able to move also. So I'm trying to kind of go with it, but then I feel guilty because I'm thinking about what I'm supposed to be doing, and I'm not thinking about, well, how can I help people, you know? So I struggle with that, and that's why I try to do the other stuff.
Well, you can't pour from an empty pitcher, so you got to make sure you're right with yourself first, and then you can help others.
Take care of yourself. Yeah. Take care of yourself.
Self-compassion
and your daughter. Yeah.
Yeah.
Take care of yourself right now. That's what you're
supposed to do.
That helps a lot.
Yeah, it seems like I would just trust the process. And again, many times we don't know why as we're going through it, and then afterwards, you know, that whole expression of hindsight is 2020, we'll realize why.
And that's what I was saying earlier with James and I were talking about with the universe. It has this supreme intelligence. You may not understand why the house, you didn't move 3 times, or why this, and then you start to feel guilty. No, release any lower form of lower chakra guilt or shame or any of that. It's not going to help now. And this is indeed the time to release all of that and say, and look at the gloriousness of where you are. Oh my God. And then have some gratitude for, wow, look at this. You'll write a script again. In fact, it'll probably incorporate some of this. This is the best time to be creative. I told you, it's the greatest time. You know what James is doing?
Yeah.
I mean, James it's not a secret. He's talking about it now. He shaved his mustache. He's going to dye his hair black, and he's trying out for a part in theater in the local theater where he lives of Little Shop of Horrors. It's a part that he's wanted to play for 35 years. So he's trying out for the part because he said, why not now? If not now, when? So
but aren't the theaters shut down? How's he going?
They are, because, well, you know, it's eventually they'll open up.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
So he's preparing for it.
Preparing. I can't imagine him without a mustache. Oh my
he looks
gosh.
so cute.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of funny that you mentioned that particular musical, because I was just talking to my daughter about that one.
Oh my God.
Oh, how funny. Wow.
To do something creative.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, Stacey, what is it that you really want to focus on in terms of, like, what is it that you've always wanted to do and didn't have the time? You know what I mean? Like, what, now that you have some extra time, not saying you have all the time in the world, but what is it that you want to develop? Is it a skill? Is it something you want to fine tune? I'm hearing fine tune. there's something that you want to do, that
Yeah.
you want to go deeper into it.
Well, I developed the books. I went back to writing fiction, and I developed a whole, like, this giant world too that I've been working on. And I've also been doing art for tarot decks that I wanted to
There you go.
do. So those are things I have been doing.
Great.
Wow.
Stay creative. Stay creative. This
You
is
think
a
if you were
great
moving, you wouldn't be able to do that, because you know how much move takes your energy. So something's going to be birthed out of this. A good thing. A really
and
good
something
thing.
will be birthed out for everybody. But just
Yeah.
remember that something amazing will happen on the other side.
That's what I keep telling myself, is you have to keep
It's
looking
true.
at the silver lining in all of
Yeah.
this. There's a lot of positivity, and then there's negativity.
Yeah.
It's all
Yeah.
where we focus our perception.
Yeah. Not
Yeah.
ignore the other, because the other is just as
Oh,
real,
sure.
especially if you're feeling it,
yeah.
but balance it.
Mhm.
Balance it with a reminder of the other side. There's always another side.
Yes. And I'm going to get Lori back on the line, but thank you
Yeah.
for calling in, Stacy. We hope that helped
Thank you, Stacy.
Thank you so much.
All righty. So, Lori, we're getting her back on the line. Hopefully, have a better connection this time. And then we're running out. We have 5 minutes left.
Hello.
Hi, Lori.
Hi, Lori.
Let's see if this is a better connection.
Hi, guys. Is this better?
Yes.
Yeah.
Better for us.
Okay, good. I'll try to be quick. I know it's towards the end. I was just saying, past couple of days, all the darkness of all the people that are passing, and I was well versed on, like you said, Kelly, there's going to be a lot of that, but it's just so sad. And as an empath, learning how to keep all this in control, I find myself just.
Yeah, as an empath, you can't control any of it. Just remember that you can't control any of it. But what you can control is, in your case, as you're a deep empath, you need to learn boundaries. You need to learn, okay, you know what? I'm not going to watch that. I'm not going to go there, because remember this, and I really mean this. The people that are passing from this, on the other side, we choose an exit point, and they're choosing this for a lot of reasons. It's to show empathy, compassion. It's to help with the karma on the planet. I call them, the volunteers. Just like when we talked about 9/11, I call it the same thing. Or during the AIDS virus, it's the same thing. It's people that have come to teach us things. So just remember, Lori, that they're all having their teaching moments. And it's teaching you to have boundaries and bless that soul who's left and who's chosen that other path. Bless them. Bravo, brave soldier. Think like that, okay? Okay.
Also look at, because you mentioned also that you're by yourself, other than your dog, but look for support groups. David Kessler. David Kessler has a support group at 1 p.m. every day, Pacific time, on Facebook, I think it is, to help people who have lost, who are grieving from death of a loved one through this. And you're feeling it sounds like, just kind of collectively. So make sure that you reach out. There's a lot of people who are doing support groups where you can be with others who are feeling similar thing. That is so helpful. So if you can put that up, John.
Yeah, and speaking of support groups, we have our support group, the Both Sides Now TV community group, and you want to join that. I know you're in there already, but I'm seeing other people who aren't, get together and share what you're feeling as well. I mean, because I know we've got a lot of new listeners right now that probably don't even know about this. And Lori, has that been a support to you?
Absolutely. Thank you all so very much. And thank you for calling me back, John.
Oh, you've got it. Yeah, I'm just glad we have
Lori.
a better connection now.
And also, let's tell everybody about, thank you. Tell everybody, John, about Tammy's group too.
Yeah, so I just want to let everyone know, in order to join the group, just go to Both Sides Now. You see it here on the page, and then click the visit group button. Okay. So when you do that, you will click this button right here, and then you will go right into the group once we approve the request. And then Tammy has a group as well, and that is Soul Speak for Animals with Tammy Hendricks. And you can check out that group here. You can go to Tammy Hendricks and then click on her button and then join her group. And this is inside the group, Soul Speak for Animals.
There's so many wonderful support group, like David Kessler says, he has 2 sessions, one in the afternoon and one in the evening. He says, no one should have to grieve alone. If a loved one has died, we can at least hold each other's hands virtually. And so whatever you're experiencing during this time, try not to do it alone. There's, I'm sure, 1,000, hundreds of thousands of support groups that people can join virtually, so you don't feel alone in this time. That is a really, really key point.
And James Van Prague does a thing every day, I believe, at noon Pacific time. And he just talks for an hour, about 20 minutes or so. And it's a really good thing to connect to him to see what he has to say during the day.
So this is David's, the one.
Oh, wow.
David Kessler. Yeah. Yeah.
It's a great idea, Shirley.
Yeah. So it's important to do that for yourself, whatever your interest may be, or whatever you feel like you're going through, during this time. I would just kind of Google it and see if there's a virtual support group that you can join. So you can actually also see other people there too. Yeah.
All right.
So we have come to the end of the road.
We sure have.
Yeah. In the words of,
really,
what is it? What is it? Boys to Men.
I love that song.
Yeah. I know, me too.
Oh, by the way,
anyways,
Last Christmas, love that movie.
Oh,
Shirley told me about a movie the other day, Last Christmas, and I loved it.
My sister told me about it. I sobbed.
Thank you, Jackie. I loved it.
I watched it again yesterday.
I bet.
I cried like a baby. And that actually also can help if you've got pent up stress, to just maybe even just watch something that allows you to release. I sobbed like a little baby. And I have to say afterwards, and it really kind of put me in touch with a lot of emotions. And then afterwards, I just felt so much better. So do that as well.
When I sobbed,
it's a beautiful movie.
It's a great movie. I sobbed on Easter when I couldn't be with my daughter and the babies. And we did of course we did Zoom, and we did a Zoom Seder, then we did a Zoom Easter. We celebrate everything. My daughter's name is Holiday. So we celebrate every holiday, but I just lost it. And then Holiday said, "Mom, are you okay?" And I was like, "No, I'm really not." It just made me really sad, and I just started sobbing, but then I pulled myself out of it. It had a nice cocktail actually, and that helped.
Whatever helps. We're not, suggesting that you do anything, but whatever helps. But you know what though? I mean, it's important to let yourself have your feelings. Yeah. I think it was the first episode of Modern Family that I watched, and that's what hooked me. There was a scene where one person was going nuts about something and the other person was trying to fix it. And then he turns around and he goes, "Just let me have my feelings." And the other guy goes, "Oh," and he sits down and he lets the guy have his feelings. And that's what we all need to do. We need to let ourselves have our feelings, whatever we're feeling, and we need to let others have their feelings and just validate them or be there and hold the space. Yeah. That's it. Feelings don't have to be this thing that we're so afraid.
I said we don't always have to be the fixer. We can just hold the space.
Exactly. We can just hold the space and say, "Wow, I can feel your pain," or whatever. Not even say anything.
Yeah.
But anyways, thank you so much for watching.
Thank you, everybody.
And John, evening, and we will see you next week.
Yeah, so we're back on Thursday. Yep. So Kel's back on Thursday doing a group check-in. Yeah. So Thursday at 3 p.m. That is Pacific time, 5 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Pacific time, right?
And we're doing the fifth and sixth chakra, right, John? And the subtle bodies.
We're moving up the chakras. We're going to be doing we're doing the throat chakra and the brow chakra, right?
Right. That's correct.
Yeah. So
brow.
Yeah.
Third eye.
Yeah, right there in the middle. So again, Thursday, 3 p.m. Pacific time, 5 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Eastern. Okay. All right.
Good night, everybody.
Take care.
Bye, everybody. Take care.
Bye.
And get in the group. All right.
You've been listening to Both Sides Now, featuring the unconventional duo Dr. Shirley and Kelly White. Two perspectives, one world.